Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Mortgage CS. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to start your home buying process today. Company on MLS ID number 1464766. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the afternoon. Joining me, as always, Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on today, Chuck?
Stuff's happening.
Stuff is
During
happening.
the final. Hockey is still going on.
Just because
Gary Bettman just doesn't the same pull that he used to, huh?
Just because the Devils shouldn't exist, maybe they think we can make moves and Gary won't notice.
Maybe. It's that residual Lou Lamoriello effect where they believe they can follow a different set of rules than everyone else.
I'll tell you, a Canadian team is about to win the Stanley Cup, and Gary Bettman might be like evaporated into dust. Like he might do the fucking Avengers disappearing act if a Canadian team wins and not like a Sunbelt team. So we'll see. Oh man, how great would that be? Florida Panthers lose to the northernmost Canadian team, blowing a 3-0 lead.
A 3-0 lead would be wild.
Gary Bettman might actually turn to dust.
I still don't think it's going to happen, but the last couple games.
We're gonna get to that in a second.
Certainly has you thinking it could.
We're gonna get right before like 20 minutes ago, the Devils made a trade to acquire Jacob Markstrom. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the Stanley Cup Final. We have a 7-round mock draft to get to. But Charlie, the most important thing in the world that we have to get to are Matvei Michkov's Instagram stories. I think that's the most important thing in the world. Nothing else matters except for this. And we got a couple the other day. And we're going to start with this one now. Michkov there was a video of him working out, and he was wearing some Russian attire, and that made me sad. But then we see this picture here, and this was sent to me from Anthony Coppola, and it's Michkov with a dude in Sixers gear, which I just find hilarious.
It's very funny.
It's a little concerning.
But it's Ben Simmons.
That it's a Ben Simmons. And
it's
like,
a little concerning.
Oh man, all our hopes and dreams on this unicorn athlete. I wonder what's going to happen. That is a little bit ominous. But
the city, I mean, it says Phila.
At least it's the right building and everything, at least for now.
At least for now.
And of course, we then get this.
Then we get the big one. The big one.
This is the most important one. He is dressed properly, Matvei Michkov, in a Flyers t-shirt, and his brother in the, I wonder if it's the same Flyers hat or if he has multiple. His brother wearing a Flyers hat in the post. This is the most important shit in the world.
What I love about this, what I absolutely love about this is this has become, and it's very funny.
It's hilarious.
But it has become like the whole, like, the person that you like, you are on their stories trying to
look for clues.
Look for clues as to whether they like you back.
Are they reading the book I recommended to them?
Are they dating someone? Are they single? Oh my God.
This is what it's all about. We just
Everything
invented
has
Facebook.
Meaning.
Yes.
They're in a big group. Oh my God. What's going on? It's very, very funny.
Flyer, I saw earlier, I can't remember who tweeted it. It was like one of the Flyers. It was just like, oh, wow, Flyers' first-round pick is wearing Flyers gear. It means so much more than that, damn it. This is the most important thing in the world to me.
Amazing.
And this is, listen, I say all the time, being a Philadelphia sports fan is a mental illness, and this is part of it.
Yeah. No, it is. It's just very funny to me, especially the Instagram stuff about how it is. It very much plays like a collective crush on Matvei Michkov.
No,
that is what it is.
This is what like social media stalking is.
Yes.
And we are all doing it. I'm putting it on our show. Thank God for the video format. It's tremendous. I get to do dumb shit like this. We don't just get to talk about it. We get to actually show it, but
sure do.
Man.
Unless you're listening in podcast form. And in that case, you can listen in podcast form and then come back and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, do both.
Do both. Give us a double views and
double dip.
Why not?
And the end of June cannot get here soon enough, Charlie. Now, while the Devils, I guess, are allowed to make moves, I guess with like days in between games, like the next game isn't until like the 4th of July or something. So with this much time in between games, I guess like the next day, it's not the worst thing in the world. But when Michkov comes over, like we're gonna have a parade. There's gonna be several days of events. We have to wait till after the Stanley Cup Final,
obviously,
to do that. But Stanley Cup Final still going on. And
Sure is.
the cup has not been awarded.
It's the series that doesn't end.
It was in the building.
Just goes on and on, my friend.
It was.
Some people started playing hockey. Sorry, I was just continuing the lamb chop theme song.
It does feel like this season started. I mean, we started the show right around when the preseason did, like with PHLY, and it's still going. And we're gonna have at least one more game because the best player in the world is living up to the name.
He remembered he's the best player in the world, basically.
It's, you look at the points totals, even like before last night, you just look at the points totals, and it's like an absurd number. Yeah. You just go like, yeah, all right. Yeah,
it makes sense.
And then you actually watch him just dangle the whole team and go like, oh, fuck, that's right. This dude, if anyone can pull the Mike Richards special in the championship round with the cup on the line, it's probably this guy. Like, it's he did it twice. It's the Mike Richards special. It's his thing.
Yeah.
He's on 32 Thoughts today. They're like, we both grew up. We watched a ton of Gretzky coming into the business, growing up, etc. At a certain point, you were just like, what do I say about that I didn't say about him 5 minutes ago? That's where McDavid is at this point. Like, that's the absurd is like, he's kind of McDavid.
I mean, I really don't want to throw cold water on the McDavid, oh my God, he's incredible parade, because he is, but they're still down 3-2 in this series.
They are still down 3-2.
And like, just because he had 2 amazing games does not change the fact that he played underwhelming enough for them to go down 3-0 in the first place. So like, I'm just like, let's not like, you want to crown their ass. Like, I'm not ready to crown Connor McDavid like the best player of all time. If they come back and win this series and he ends up like matching the greatest scoring run in playoff history result, then let's talk about him being on Gretzky's level. I am not ready to talk about him as like, yes, he is Gretzky-esque yet, when they haven't even, they're not even tied yet in the series. Like, let's just like, this is so immediate, like not instant gratification, but it's so like, what happened yesterday is everything that matters. Well, he's great. He's a great player.
An amazing individual performance in the Stanley Cup Final, despite the score of the round, is worth celebrating. And that's an amazing accomplishment.
And if they lose,
being 5 points shy of Gretzky is fucking. If he has no points, this was one of the all-time great playoff runs. It's cool.
And then in Game 6, he doesn't score at all, and they lose at home. Then it's going to be he's a choker. I'm just saying, like,
But you don't have to think that.
But you do, because
no, you don't. Someone can say it, and you can go, I don't think so.
Okay,
I think he's awesome still.
Cool.
Like, that's still what he's going to be. Finishing 5 points shy of Gretzky when the fucking goalies had to play blindfolded. Like, that's a pretty amazing accomplishment.
It's really cool. It's really cool. I'm just saying, this is very much like, it's recency bias. That's the phrase I was looking for. This is all recency bias because the last 2 games,
what is the bias?
He's been incredible.
Like, what he did was incredible, and he's been incredible since he entered the league.
5 days ago, people were talking, like, we literally on this show were saying that it's, unless they win one game in this series, it's going to be a blemish on his legacy. Like, I guess that's my point, is that, yes, it's cool that he's done great. And if they win the series, then that will be what we'll remember. But I'm not ready to coronate him until I see how the series plays out. I don't think there's
any coronation going on. He's clearly the best player in the world right now. Absolutely. And that is indisputable.
Absolutely.
He's playing that way in the Stanley Cup Final.
For 2 games.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, in 2 of the games.
He's also got as many points as anyone in their first Cup Final ever. Like, it's not just 2 games.
Yeah, it's true. He's having a great series.
One more point. I think he ties Lemieux for most ever in your first final.
I'm just not ready to.
Did you see the graphic?
I'm not ready to be making the, like, he's as good as Gretzky comparison that you implied they sort of were making on 32 Thoughts.
It's just the idea that he can be sensational, and you go, yeah, man, I've seen him do that like 4 times. Mm-hmm. Like, just dangle a whole team, go end to end, and take a 1-on-2, a 1-on-3 to the net. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's real freaking cool. And I made the point on Twitter that I am now on board with the idea that McDavid can win the Conn Smythe even if they lose the series. If he can get the corpse of Corey Perry a goal in the Cup Final, like the guy can't even skate anymore. And if he can get him a goal because he literally beats the entire Florida team on one play, then yeah, sure, maybe he does deserve the Conn Smythe.
If this ended last night, if it ends 4-1. Even with the scoring, I don't know if you can give him Conn Smythe. I think now, if it goes 7, you have to. And now it's like, yeah, Bob's numbers ain't great. Who are you going to give it to? Like, because Florida is in that, like, there's no one singular dude. Like, last year, if they win, it's like, yeah, man, Tkachuk walks away with this thing. And now it's like, I don't know, everyone's playing real well. Like, there's no one walking away with it on Florida's side. Yeah, if someone scores a hat trick in Game 6, sure. Yeah, like if Verhaeghe ends up with 3, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But now I think it's to the point, McDavid might have to be at least co-favorite right now. Yeah. Even if they lose in 6.
If they lose in 6, I'm not sure. If they get to 7,
if this goes 7, I think it has to be
he's
him.
Getting it. Then he's absolutely getting it. If they could,
and that rests on the idea of like, yeah, because if they win Game 6, it's probably all him again.
Right.
Like that's look at this team.
Exactly.
It's probably him.
I think where my I guess not backlash, but where my you know what? Let's call it backlash. Where that comes from is, number one, I generally am not a fan of narratives, but I'm really not a fan of narratives in the middle of a series because we don't know what the prevailing narrative is going to be when the series is over because we're in the middle of the series. I mean, there were times during the Western Conference Final where we were talking about the Stars as the team that everyone should be building to try to emulate, and then they lost, and now suddenly it's, yeah, they're not even that good. Like and
that's stupid.
I want to wait and see how the series plays out before we decide what the ultimate narrative of Connor McDavid's playoff.
It's a stupid thing to say the Stars aren't that. Everyone should try to emulate the Stars because, yeah, you probably want to be the Oilers, but that's impossible.
Unless you get Connor McDavid.
Yeah, that's impossible because McDavid is better than everybody. So good luck getting another McDavid. Like, yeah, it would be nice to have McKinnon and Makar. You probably can't get him. So I don't know, man. Do your best to find 2 guys in the second round that can win you a fucking series.
I think where I'm at is I think it's super exciting that Connor McDavid is doing amazing things. And I think he is in the middle of what could be viewed as maybe the best playoff performance of all time. However, I'm not ready to call it that until he finishes the job. And if he does, it'll be, oh my God, we might have just watched the best playoff performance of all time in terms of points, in terms of quality of competition, in terms of the way the game is played now. That's really exciting. And honestly, I'm rooting for it to happen. I'm just not ready to act like it's a foregone conclusion until it actually happens.
I'm telling you, in this 7-round mock draft we're about to get to, Corey Pronman of The Athletic, he's got the Flyers picking 31.
Ooh, he's a believer.
He's a believer.
He's a believer.
I'm just saying. I want to take a second here and let you know that today's episode of PHLY Flyers is brought to you by BetterHelp. And what is BetterHelp? Well, it is an online therapy service, and I think all of us, every single one of us, could probably benefit from just talking to somebody. Whether it's something small in your life that you just are focused on and you just need a little help, whether it's coping skills or, hell, man, even celebrating the wins in your life, because life is freaking difficult. And the littlest win, maybe you just need to build yourself up a little bit and recognize when things do go well for you. Regardless of what it is, I think we could all benefit from just talking to someone every now and then, learning positive coping skills, learning to set boundaries with friends and family, things of that nature. I think if you believe that as well, maybe you should give BetterHelp a try. If you're thinking of starting therapy, there's no better place to start than with BetterHelp. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. And all you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So take a moment, visit betterhelp.com/PHLY to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/PHLY. And remember, today's episode brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. Give them a try for, if you're just thinking about, man, little bit of something weighing on me. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. It always helps to talk about shit. It's why I'm here.
That's what
quite
we
honestly.
do. In all honesty, you could argue this show is just an extended therapy session.
It is, but neither Charlie nor I. Honestly, Charlie's probably like my doctor. Neither Charlie nor I are licensed to talk about anything but hockey. He's not bad with music. So if you're like, maybe something a little more serious than hockey, BetterHelp.com/
Are you saying hockey isn't serious, Bill? It's serious business.
Charlie, I just spent the first 5 minutes talking about what a 19-year-old chose to
Bill,
wear.
have you spent any time on Flyers Twitter? Hockey is serious business.
Serious
And if
business.
you don't believe that every single member of Comcast should be dragged down the street and shot, you clearly don't care about the Philadelphia Flyers, William.
Oh, God, we could all probably use every single one of us. I wonder if BetterHelp does group rates for us. Like, could we just get, like, the draft party when they take, like, Hellenius instead of Catton or something? Like, can we get a group rate at the draft party?
Oh, my God.
No, BetterHelp.com/PHLY. All right, I see we have a super chat already here from Corey. Can we at least admit that last night's game was one of the best in finals in a long time? I thought it was awesome.
It was a great game.
Really
it was a fantastic game.
Like,
it was reminiscent of what this series I thought was reminiscent of was just some of the series earlier in the playoffs. Like I'm thinking back to the Florida Rangers series where they weren't very good games until the end. Like when it finally felt like there was one game, I believe it was game 5, where it was like, okay, both of these really good teams are playing well at the same time, and this is a great game. Whereas a lot of the series, like especially I'm thinking about like the Stars. The Stars did this in a lot of their series. It was like Stars Vegas or series like that, where it was like, okay, one team would play really good in one game and the other team would play really good in the other game. There haven't been a lot of games in this playoff run where you feel like both teams are playing really well at the same time. That was last night's game.
It has,
especially the final like 2/3 of it.
It has, a lot of these playoffs have reminded me, like the way you just put it too, like kind of NBA style.
Yeah, like a game of runs.
Where it's so much, like the NBA is so much about just 3-point variance, make or miss lead, etc. And it's like two really good teams, one of them is going to have a great night.
Yeah.
And we'll see how this ends after a 7-game series, but it might not be, even if the series itself, back and forth, the games individually, it's like, kind of not great.
And even in
last night,
even in game, like I'm thinking back to that Dallas Edmonton series where you would have one team totally dominate a period, and then the other team would totally dominate the next 2 periods. And it was like they were trading off stretches of dominance rather than two really good teams playing really well at the same time. Now, granted, obviously part of that is just the nature of hockey. If one team has the puck, the other team probably looks like shit. And if that one team has the puck a lot, the other team can't do much. But I don't know if I speak for everyone, but I would say the most fun hockey can be is when two really good teams are trading chances back and forth. And it's, one team gets 2 super great chances. Then the other team goes back down the ice and gets their 2 great chances. And it's just like two boxers in the center of a ring just trading blows. And it's not like one guy is getting destroyed. It's they are both absolutely obliterating each other. And you're just jumping out of your seat every other second because something else crazy happened. That was most of last night's game. It was a really, really good game. So Corey, thanks for that.
What was the Team North America game when they won in overtime?
Oh, yeah. I forget who they played.
Was it Team Europe or Team Sweden? I can't remember. But that was, to me, that's one of the greatest hockey games ever played. That 3-on-3 was the best shit I ever saw. Like, that is the argument for this is skill hockey.
Yeah.
Like,
somebody in the comment section put that the Tkachuk goal-saving play that ended up not mattering. Like, that's what I'm talking about, where you have both teams are giving it so much, like 110% on every play. Like, Tkachuk saves that goal and McDavid scores immediately after, but it was still really freaking cool to see Tkachuk save that goal for those 6 seconds.
It's a great play.
And it shows how much they both care.
And that's, to your point about McDavid earlier, like, even if that didn't matter 12 seconds later, it was still fucking awesome when it happened.
Yeah.
Like, it was still really cool.
Yeah.
But something not so cool happened today, Charlie.
What's up?
The Devils got a goalie.
The Devils got better. They sure did.
They did. The Devils got a goalie. They acquired Jacob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames for a first-round pick next year. It is top 10 protected. And defenseman Kevin Ball, who actually did play 82 games for the Devils last year.
Are you telling me that you don't think Kevin Ball's absence will destroy their decor?
He was a second-round pick in 2018. He was sent to Jersey from Arizona in the Taylor Hall deal. He had 11 points in 82 penalty minutes. Listen, he played like 17-some minutes for the Devils last year game, played every game. He's huge. He's like 6'6", 230 or something. But
yeah, he's got the size. They probably think he maybe can be like a Zadorov type.
Yeah. They got a at least pretty good starting caliber goaltender for a protected first-round pick. And
I would say he is at the very least a top 10 goalie in the NHL, arguably higher.
Yeah.
Because again, we need to recalibrate the fact that like save percentages are down now. So if you see a guy who has a 906, like that's not bad anymore. That's good.
No, like the average isn't 910, 911 anymore. Like it's 904.
Yeah.
it's considerably down from what it was a few years ago. Like when, not a Conn Smythe, and Art Ross gets decided like in the 80s. Yeah. Like that ain't happening.
Jamie Benn,
80s. He had 89 the next year. And it was like, you just beat your points total and came nowhere near to the Art Ross. Anyway,
what a weird
they
year.
get a pretty damn good goalie. He will turn 35 halfway through next season, but they get him for a depth defenseman and a top 10 protected first-round pick. The thing that blew me away, salary retention. Over 30% salary retention. They're getting him. He's got a $6 million cap hit. They're getting him for a little over $4 million for the next 2 years. Devils, we'll see. Like 2 years ago, Jacob Markstrom was terrible. He bounced back this year on a not great Calgary team. The Devils might have robbed Calgary here.
I don't know if they
or not. Maybe
I don't know if they robbed
but
them.
I think it's a very good trade for the Devils.
No, if you look at where Calgary's at, Calgary is a team that is not going to be contending anytime soon. So this is what you do: you trade away guys.
Flames are a team. They play. Never go ahead.
Well, I'm confused.
They play a sport called hockey. You're like, they are a team. I was like,
They play a sport called hockey. No,
say the line.
But Calgary is in a position where they need to be trading away guys like this because Markstrom is old. He's got only 2 more years left on his contract. He's not going to be part of the next great Flames team. He's just not. One way or another, he's not going to be part of that team. So this is what you do. You sell for what you can get. And there weren't a ton of teams that were looking for goalies. There really weren't. A lot of teams either have their goalie or they have their internal goalie plan. The Devils were one of the only contending clubs that looked at their club and was like, we're good pretty much everywhere except goalie. So we need a goalie. And they got a first-round pick for a guy who's not part of their future. I don't think they got robbed. Could they have gotten more? Sure. Maybe, if they would have held out. But apparently these negotiations went on for months.
Yeah, this goes back to the trade deadline. When it looked like the Devils were going to get at least one of Markstrom or Hannafin, I put a bet on the Devils to make the playoffs and win the East. Like a couple of days before the deadline. So I'm like, they're getting this done. And then they were just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like this is. I was like, all right, well, it was worth a shot.
I had heard rumors that
this goes back to the deadline.
I had heard rumors that Calgary's like ownership kind of was like, don't trade him. I don't know how true that is, but you had heard that like Calgary was going to trade him, and then they were basically told you're not allowed to, and maybe after their season ended the way it did, and they're like, yeah, we're not that good. Then it was like, all right, fine, trade the freaking guy. But I guess what I'm saying is I think this is an objectively good trade for the Devils.
Yes.
They did not give up a ton. They expect that in 2025, that pick will be in the 20s, if not higher, because they think they're going to be a good team. And Kevin Ball is a guy. Like, fine. They have a lot of young defensemen that are going to be taking bigger roles this year that already took pretty big roles last year.
Should be back.
Dougie should be back. They don't really need him. He is an expendable piece. I think it's a good trade for the Devils. I don't think it's a bad trade for Calgary.
Okay, like robbed, I was like, okay. I just think the Devils did well.
Devils did do
but
well.
you
Absolutely.
can only get
they filled their biggest hole, and they didn't give up an insane cost to do it. They kept the 10th overall pick. They kept Dawson Mercer, Holtz. They kept all of their key pieces. It's a good trade for the Devils. I just don't think that necessarily makes it a bad trade for Calgary.
No, you can only get what the market allows, and like if there's two teams looking for a goalie, you know, like the Devils needed a goalie. That's been evident for 2 years now. They badly need a goalie. Charlie, who's the other team that needs a goalie? Like, I don't fucking know.
That's the thing.
Probably the Kings.
I mean, there are teams that could use a goalie. But I don't know if there are teams that
trying to get a first round.
Like Carolina could use a goalie.
But they don't want
They don't need one. Or at least they don't think they need one.
They're not paying a first round pick and a bunch of money for a goalie. That's not their thing.
Exactly.
Like, give them a goalie. But like, that's not their organizational philosophy.
Yeah.
The Flyers could use a goalie, but they are one of the teams that have their internal plan.
Right.
So, like, we're not giving up assets for a goalie. It's just one of those
The Devils were a team that very much could use a goalie and were motivated to get a goalie in a way that I don't know if a lot of other teams, contending teams, really were. So to get a first-round pick, top 10 protected, I don't think it's a bad move for Calgary, especially given where they're at. But I do agree it is a good move for the Devils given where they are at. And it certainly makes it more likely that they will finish above the Flyers next season.
And that's where I wanted to go with this next. Just looking at the Metro standings from the season that will never end, still going on. You see the Devils there in 7th. They finished, 6 points behind the Flyers.
Better goal differential, though.
Yeah, well, the Flyers, that Flyers goal differential.
Torpedoed at the end of the year.
It was incredible to watch their goal different because they were positive through like most of the season.
Yeah, it was literally just like the wee meme.
It was a roller coaster drop, the way precipitous to say the least. Like the Devils head-to-head beat up the Flyers a little bit this year, but you just look at the way the Metropolitan Division turned out. I mean, they should be top 3 in the division again. Right?
I mean, I think they are a top 3 true talent team in that division. I think they're better than the Islanders. They're better than the Capitals. They're better than the Penguins. They're better than the Flyers. It just kind of comes down to whether it all comes together for them.
Yeah.
Because it very clearly didn't this year. I'm curious. Like, it'll be interesting to see what Sheldon Keefe can do in that role. Because it's a good coach. It's a good head coaching role. I mean, that is a team that is loaded with talent and is ready to go on a run, and now they have a goalie. We'll see how good of a coach Sheldon Keefe is. We will.
I don't consider coaching for them at all because I look so much at their talent. But I would like to see Keefe in a somewhat similar situation to the one he was in, where it's like we have these talented guys and the expectations are so high. But of course, it's not the microscope.
No, it's not the pressure cooker.
It is nowhere near what Toronto. It's the opposite of that. It's freaking New Jersey.
The Devils shouldn't have a team.
They're the 3rd team in their media market.
Exactly.
Like, I am very interested to see how they do.
Their very existence pains me.
But like, Keefe is at least a fine coach, right? Like maybe they don't.
At least okay.
Maybe they don't win the cup, but I gotta believe that this is a top 3 in the division team.
Yeah, you would think that the goaltending is going to help because the thing about goaltending, and this goes back to things that Kelly has said over the last few months, is just like it's all goaltending. It's not all goaltending, but it is a lot goaltending because not only does it have an outsized impact on the individual games, it also, I think, has an outsized impact on everybody's psyche. If everybody in the team can't trust the goalie to stop a puck, then the system tends to break down because everybody takes more risks or everybody plays hyper conservative. I think for the Devils, it was more everybody takes more risk because it's like, well, we got to win game 7-6 as our goalies stink.
I truly believe like Dave Hackstall came in and like by the end, I was like, fuck this guy. I was very out on Hack. But I do think like he came in wanting to play a much more aggressive style. And then the first 2 weeks on the job, the Flyers got 11 saves total. And it was like, every time there's a 2-on-1 they score, we have to just have 3 guys back.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden we're playing like the trap or something. Like, oh yeah, puck carrier, he needs to be looking at least 3 dudes. And like it just went so bad that the entire plan just went up in the air. It was like, well, we suck now.
It's an interesting theory.
But it's just like
they played the Kraken played pretty similar to the Flyers, but I don't think they were quite as conservative.
And they also had Grubauer putting up like an 890.
Yeah,
like,
true.
So,
True.
Like, and then it was just, we shot 20%, so we made the playoffs. But I'm just saying, like, that's the sort of impact that goaltending can have, not just on, like, yes, on the way you play. You have to change if you don't get a stop.
So I think that if Markstrom doesn't flop, which I guess he's a goalie, goalies can flop. Yeah. He's not young. He's had bad seasons before. It's possible. But if Markstrom is at least good, I do think that puts Keefe in a better spot in terms of implementing the system he wants to implement. Like, you look at that standings that we had up. The Devils gave up 283 goals. The Columbus Blue Jackets, who are god-freaking awful, gave up only 17 more.
Yeah.
Like, goal prevention is their biggest problem. And while part of it certainly is the goaltending, a lot of it, too, is going to be getting them to play a system that helps the goalie a little bit. It is a symbiotic relationship. But if they trust the goalie, I think they'll be more willing to play that system. We'll see if Keefe can do it, and if Markstrom can, kind of fit the bill as at least a solid netminder for them.
At least steady the ship there.
Exactly.
It should, it should help Flyers' draft position next year, honestly. In a draft, hopefully loaded with centers, it will help there. But you look at like the goal scoring numbers. They were only behind the top two teams in the division. It is goal prevention. Yeah. Now, a lot of that might just be on the goalie. But it's not like they were putting up a 760 out there.
Exactly.
Like, you need to play a little bit of defense.
You do.
And with a young defense, actual defending is probably pretty difficult. Hopefully, not hopefully, but like hopefully for them, it's like, it is that symbiotic relationship that you mentioned. Or everything just fails and the Devils stink forever. That would be fine.
I mean, I would have zero problem with that personally.
It wouldn't bother me.
No.
I would
be cool.
If they have to be good, I would like to look at it as like the Flyers don't have to be terrible next year, and they could draft 8th instead of 12th.
That's literally what Dan Hilferty said a couple weeks ago.
That was their point.
That was their point, was that, hey, we could be the exact same team and finish further down in the standings because some of the other teams more live up to expectations. Obviously the Devils are a major one, but even looking at the other division, teams like Buffalo and Ottawa. I think we both expected a little bit more from them last season. We didn't get it.
I thought
it's possible that one or both of those teams could be a lot better next year. Maybe.
I thought one of them would make the playoffs. Both stunk.
Yeah, they both were not very good.
You got to believe at a certain point, it's just Buffalo's roll the dice, man. They get in. Like, everyone gets in eventually. It's the fucking NHL playoffs.
Do they, though?
Everyone but them.
Everyone but the Sabres.
Before we get on to the latest mock draft, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Mortgage CS. Listen, everyone knows about the rates right now. Rates are slightly higher, but home prices still rising. Mortgage CS can help you get into a home before they go higher and also refinance to save money when the rates do drop. And who doesn't love that? Same house, lower payment. Sounds good to me. We all know about interest rates right now, but the thing is, if you're in the market for a home, home values are elevated and are expected to keep rising as well. So it might not make sense for you to keep waiting for interest rates to drop before you buy a home when the price of houses just keeps on going up. Plus, Mortgage CS will monitor your refinance opportunities and ensure you save money responsibly when the rates do drop. Refinancing with Mortgage CS is straightforward, and you don't want to pay a ton of fees when you refinance. You'll never get that at Mortgage CS. In the end, you'll be so happy you texted Ben. You'll find out for yourself the reason people win more with Mortgage CS. So call or text Ben right now, 267-391-7425, and see for yourself. You can also go to mortgagecs.com/PHLY to check them out, or you can view their 350-plus perfect 5-star reviews by searching Mortgage CS right now. Do it. Open a new browser, right? Open a new tab on your browser. Mortgage CS. Google reviews show right up. All 5 stars. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company and MLS ID number 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
So this is very funny. I guess today was the day when NHL teams collectively decided.
Oh, something happened?
No, well, it's just this is the day that NHL teams collectively decided, all right, we're sick of waiting for this stupid final to end. We're going to start doing shit. Sorry, Gary, we can't wait any longer because we had the Markstrom trade. Now we have Ty Dellandry gets traded to the Sharks for a 4th-round pick. We have the Canucks re-signed our buddy Mark Friedman.
Oh, they signed because I saw they re-signed Hronek yesterday.
Yeah, and then they re-signed Friedman to a league minimum deal on a 1-year contract. So it just feels like either Gary called everybody this morning or sent out a group text and said, "All right, go ahead, make your trades, boys." Or all the GMs just collectively decided, like, all right, we thought the series was friggin' over. We were willing to wait for the sweep or wait for Game 5. If this is going to go 7, we're just going to do our shit.
We don't have this kind of time.
Exactly.
The draft is like the draft is 9 days away. No, but did you get a chance to look at the Hronek contract?
I did. I mean, it is what it is. I'm personally not a big Philip Hronek fan. My view is I think he's a solid second pair defenseman who is this year
gets to play with Quinn Hughes.
Got to play with Quinn Hughes. In the grand scheme of things, it's not going to kill the Canucks because basically what they're doing is they're taking the savings from Hughes. Like they're probably underpaying Quinn Hughes by about $3 million a year. So now they're overpaying Hronek by about $2 million a year. Like, okay, if they feel like Hronek just makes Hughes more comfortable because they have chemistry or whatever, sure. It maybe isn't the shrewdest way to do business, but I understand it, I guess.
I would rather have Hronek than Sanheim.
Really? I would rather have Sanheim than Hronek. I think Sanheim's a better defenseman.
Okay.
I do.
Still Sanheim defender till the end.
Sure.
I really appreciate it. Let's get to this newest athletic mock draft. Like I said, 9 days until the first round of the 2024 NHL Entry Draft. And our pal, Corey Pronman, he mocked all 7 rounds for us. I think it's like 255 picks
Godspeed,
or
Corey.
something absolutely insane like that.
Godspeed.
And coming in at number 12, we'll get right to it. Consta Helenius, my guy.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's fun. No, listen, there's obviously, like Carter Yakimchuk he just looks like one hell of a fun prospect.
He does.
Berkeley Catton, I mean, yeah, I'll take the most productive dude in the goddamn draft. Like that sounds like a lot of fun. What was it, 120 points or something? But this Helenius dude, reading more and watching a little bit of him, like I've come around on him. And when you just look at the way this mock draft
that's
works
the
out,
key. You look at the way it works out.
Catton goes 11, Yakimchuk 8, Demidov 5. Cole Yzerman doesn't go till 19 to Vegas,
which I think, it
looks like
based on everything I'm hearing, Yzerman continues to.
Yeah, he just keeps falling.
Yeah,
maybe to 31.
I don't think he gets out of the top 20, but I could certainly see him going in the late teens. No, the interesting part about this mock draft, about that pick, with the way it shapes up, unfortunately, in this mock, Catton goes at 11. I don't know what Buffalo would do there. Would Buffalo take another smallish forward who, I don't know, maybe they would. A smallish skill guy out of Canadian juniors. I don't know, maybe. But in this draft, they do. So Catton's gone. And it really then comes down to the 2 guys the Flyers are choosing between in that second tier after Celebrini. It's Helenius, the center, and then Zane Parekh, the right-handed shooting defenseman. If that is the choice, I think I like Parekh a little bit more as a prospect, but I will say that Helenius, I think, fills a bigger need. And I would get it if they ultimately say Ty goes to the center. I would get it.
It seems to me, and what the fuck do I know, that Zane Parekh is Jamie Drysdale.
He's
what we hope Jamie Drysdale.
Exactly.
I have no idea. Again, right now, Jamie Drysdale, I'm penciling in on the third pair with Hunter McDonald. And I think it's going to be a great third pair. But
you think Hunter McDonald's making the team?
Yeah.
Oh wait. Or you mean like in the long term?
In the long term.
Okay.
But
also, yeah.
It's going to be him and Sealer, or if McDonald makes... Dude, they keep talking about Hunter McDonald like he's the second coming and fucking Nick Lidstrom. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna not have him making the team when he actually doesn't.
Right.
So he seems like Tyson Forster right now, where it's like, oh man, someone beat him out. So guess what? They both make it. like Bobby Brick better camp than Forster, but he was already on the team. So it was like, Well, shit, they both make it now. Hunter McDonald is their favorite
They
prospect.
love Hunter McDonald.
They like him more than Matvei Michkov. Sometimes I get the impression.
I mean, I think they are more excited about the fact that they unearthed Hunter McDonald, or they believe they unearthed him in the 6th round.
Sure.
Yeah. So honestly, with Zane Parekh,
is that an apt comparison?
It is. It's an apt comparison in the sense that I think they would both theoretically be playing the same role. Zane Parekh, to me, and this is an exciting comparison, I think, especially for Flyers fans, particularly those who watch the show. I think the ceiling for Zane Parekh is, what if you got rookie year Shane Gostisbehere every year? That is Zane Parech's ceiling.
What if? Yeah. What?
I'm just
guy
saying,
who was scoring out at the rate of Bobby Orr.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
rookie Bobby Orr, not real
even
Bobby
then, like,
Orr.
he finished with like 46 points in 64 games. Yeah, he scored a ton of goals, and Parekh has the ability to score a shitload of points. He's never going to be the greatest defensively. He's always going to probably piss off some traditionalists in the sense that, like, when he goes into the corners, he may shy away from contact a little bit. That's just kind of him. But he may be so good offensively that it just doesn't matter. That's his ceiling. That would be an awesome ceiling. The thing is that he's a righty. He's going to have to be on your top power play. He's probably going to have to be sheltered a little bit 5-on-5. Even if he's a first pair defenseman, he's not going to be getting every defensive zone draw. And I wonder if you've decided that Jamie Drysdale is your future, we're ride or die with Drysdale. Yeah, there's going to be a few years when Drysdale is with the team and Parekh is not. But when Parekh comes up, is Drysdale going to be ready to move out of that sheltered role to let Parekh develop the way he needs to? Or is it they're going to move Parekh into that role, Drysdale gets tougher minutes and immediately starts stinking? I don't know. It complicates the situation a little bit, even though I like Parekh as a prospect. I could understand if they are choosing between those two guys, Helenius and Parekh, they say they're about the same quality of prospect. We need the center more. Let's go Helenius. I would get it.
It would make the most sense to me. However, and listen, no one knows what a draft is going to be. I always go back to 17. It's like, actually, there's 3 stars in it. They went 3, 4, 5. You know, like there's plenty of dudes who were real good, and it was like, oh, it's a weak draft. No one knows. We were told, however, that the Flyers are kind of putting some eggs in the next year's basket is where all the centers are.
It does seem like it.
If they were to grab the center in this defense-heavy draft, it would seem a little weird.
I don't even know if it's... I think that's more something that's been theorized by outsiders, that it's going to be a big center draft. It could be. Right now, it looks good. A lot can change in a year. What it does seem like, and this is something I can guarantee you, because I know for a fact, based on the people I've talked to, that the Flyers do believe, is that they believe next year's draft is guaranteed to just be deeper on the whole, which is why,
better
draft. Like for example, the quality of guys that this year are going to go, not necessarily in that top tier, you know, the 2 to 14, 13, 14 tier. I'm talking about the guys in that like 15 to 20, like the Michael Hages, the Adam Yuricheks, the Brand Segnegaard guys. Those guys, that pool next year is expected to last until like 35, whereas this year it ends at 20.
Okay.
And I think that's why the Flyers looked at it particularly when they were negotiating the Walker deal. It was like, if we're trading Sean Walker to a contender, probably that pick is going to be a late first whenever we get it. Let's get it in the year where we might be able to get a Michael Hage at 30 as opposed to, you know, having to take him at 18 this year.
Okay. All right. I like the thinking there. And that tells me, as much as because I want the instant gratification, I want Columbus's pick now. Not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
If Columbus decides to kick the can.
Exactly. Exactly.
I assume they have to be better. But like that just means they're not.
Do they though?
Can they be one of the worst teams in hockey again? I guess.
Maybe.
Right? But like they have some good players.
They do. They have good young players. They have
everyone.
They have Goudreau. They have some good. They have Werenski. They have some good veterans. They do have the good young talent. I just don't know if I see it coming together yet for them.
Okay,
but you never know. Teams take leaps all the time.
I mean, like better with like, and they
Flyers
could still
supposed to be a bottom 5 team last year.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
The pick that I guess was most interesting to actually, it's later in the second round, but. So the Flyers, Corey Pronman has them taking Helenius at 12.
Right.
And then a couple of weeks ago when you started your draft research, you sent me your little like top 55 sheet, your spreadsheet with basically your rankings of dudes. and it's 55 guys on the spreadsheet. Sam O'Reilly at number 31, Pronman has the Flyers taking, not in your top 55.
He wasn't originally. I think when I do my end list, he will be. So he is basically, he's a little bit of a late riser. Obviously, he's on London. London went to the Memorial Cup, so he got a lot of eyeballs on him during their playoff run. He's just a guy I haven't watched tape on yet. I plan to before the end of next week, obviously. I've read a lot of scouting reports, and he's intriguing to me from a potential Flyers pick standpoint because of the London connection. Obviously, they took Bonk and Barkey last year. Jonesy is tight with Dale Hunter. They think very highly of that program from a developmental standpoint. And Sam O'Reilly's, in this draft, he's graded as a winger. He very well could stick at center. And they could see him as a guy where, hey, maybe we can get a middle six center late in the first round. He's got size. He's got some skill. The skating isn't amazing, but there might be something there. I'm curious to watch him over the next couple days and figure out where I would probably slot him in, because my guess, unless I really, really hate the tape, my guess is he'll probably be somewhere in that like top 40-ish, top 40, 45.
And it just surprised me because the next three guys, including at 51 and 77, these dudes that Pronman has the Flyers drafting are in that initial top 55 that you sent me. I want to go to Linus Eriksson at 36. That would be the Columbus pick if they are to get it. Obviously, we won't know probably until that day. Like we probably won't know till the start of.
For my understanding is that the Flyers will at least know by Friday night. So that will start probably getting out on Friday night after the first round is done. But Eriksson's actually the only pick on here that I don't love. And that's, I think, personally because, and this guy is available at this pick too. If they're going to take a Swedish center, I'm a bigger fan of Lucas Pettersson as opposed to Linus Eriksson. I know they probably just sound like the same person when I'm saying them out loud, but I've watched them both. I prefer Pettersson's game to Eriksson's, but whatever. Like I still view Eriksson as a second round caliber prospect. He's interesting. I just like other guys more. The pick in that second round is very interesting to me. At number 51. This is the pick the Flyers are definitely going to get, unless I guess they trade it away.
This is their 51. This is the compensatory pick from Jay O'Brien.
Cole Hudson.
At number 51. And Cole Hudson, very interesting to me at 51, because I think we had somebody ask us maybe a super chat or something the other day about him at 31 or 32, wherever, like the late second round, the late first round pick. And here, Pronman has him to the Flyers in the middle of the second round.
Yeah, well, this would be an interesting time, especially, it makes sense, especially in this mock draft, because you have them go Hellenius and O'Reilly, so two forwards, potentially two centers. So then you're thinking, okay, and then they go with another center, in theory, in Eriksson. So now you've taken three centers. Now it's like, okay, maybe we take a big swing on a defenseman. And the two big swing defensemen that are both available in this mock draft of 51 are Cole Hudson and Kiviharju. And he goes with Hudson. Hudson, the big thing with him is that everybody passed on his brother Lane. His brother Lane has killed it ever since everybody passed on him, and he slipped around too. Cole probably is a little bit better of a skater than Lane. I think Lane is more naturally skilled, but Cole put up good numbers at the U.S. National Team Development Program. He's also quite small, which is the reason why he would slip, but he's intriguing. I don't think I would take him with a first-round pick, but I would certainly take him with a second-round pick. To me, that's an upside swing, and I'm all for upside swings.
We want them to take the big swings, and with picks there, I want the potential. I'd rather a dude bust than just be like, oh, yeah, maybe we'll call him up one day. Like, I want, like, oh, yeah, he's not even playing pro hockey anymore. He's an insurance salesman, or he's an all-star. Like, that's, I want that sort of possibility.
I mean, if I'm going to get, like, really nitpicky, because, again, this is a mock draft, and really the key to this mock draft for Corey is he wants to give everyone an idea of, like, where he suspects the general range of everyone is going to be. It's less about the individual guys, but, I mean, I look at this mock draft and I see Teddy Stiga going 57 to Montreal, and I'm like, shit, like, if the Flyers pass on Stiga 4 times, obviously the first pick, they're not going to take him at 12, but if they pass on him 4 times, when I would probably take him at 32, if they pass on him 3 times after that, I'd be pretty annoyed because I really like Teddy Stegen.
31, Charlie. We're rooting for history here.
Okay.
We're rooting for the better pick, and we're rooting for history. 31. And returning the cup to its home in Canada for Gary.
It's going home?
Yeah.
Well, Euro's going on right now. That's the mantra for English soccer fans. They sing that "It's Coming Home" song, and then it never actually comes home.
You know, I would never cast any sort of shade over America. That's not me. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something for Shady Rays here. I always put them on, and I left them in my backpack. I can't just get up in the middle of the show and go get my sunglasses. So I just got to tell you to get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last, because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with the premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. I like to wear my Shady Rays. I mean, I wear sunglasses every single day. I also, I'm like an old dude at Denny's. I leave stuff all over the place. I'm leaving. I can't remember ever to bring my glasses, and it's great because Shady Rays don't break the bank, and they have some of the absolute best coverage, lost and stolen coverage. If your shades go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or stolen replacements. And if you don't love your shades, you will. But if you don't, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Like I said, I wear sunglasses every single day. I wear them in, like, when it's not that bright out, honestly. I just like to have my eyes covered for one reason or another. Maybe Justin Timberlake should have been wearing some shades.
Ouch.
My
low blow.
I had one martini. Yeah, then where are your pupils, guy? Anyway, no, don't use them to don't drive drunk. I'm not promoting that. But get Shady Rays, shadyrays.com. Use code PHLY for 35% off.
Wow. Incredible.
I don't know where I was going with that. It was just funny.
Yeah, I mean, I laughed.
Who didn't? This next one I want because I want a dude named Muse because of Jason Muse.
Oh, we still need, Bill, we need a breakdown of your favorite names of this draft.
We do need to get to that.
We need that. That has to happen.
That might be a little weekend project for me.
But Muse.
So Henry Muse
is interesting.
At 77, and you have him in your initial top 55.
I think would be a great third-round pick. He's a guy who at one time was viewed as a lock to be a first-round pick. Scouts have soured on his game. I think they worry about how it's going to translate in terms of the risk taking that he likes to do from the back end. But in the third round, why the hell not?
Yeah,
give it a go.
It's absolutely worth a shot. Just looking at the rest of this list, we don't need to go through a 7-round mock draft because nobody knows who these guys are. If you do, awesome. You are the 1%.
Well, the last guy everyone should know. The last guy everyone should know.
I was leading to, and at 205, Pronman has us taking someone named Miroslav Shatan.
Junior.
I got to believe it's his son.
It is.
It's just not a guy with the same name.
Junior.
And I would love to buy a jersey one day that says Satan on the back. Do we know anything about him other than it's the dude's son?
All I know is that he is Miroslav Shatan's son.
That's funny.
He is
way.
Miroslav Shatan Jr. He is also 6'7", which is cool.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, now I need him.
I remember when I was a kid. This is like I obviously did not like the Buffalo Sabres because the Buffalo Sabres were extremely frustrating. They had Hasek, but I was at the age when the Sabres were good that my parents would not allow me to curse, would not allow me to say shit. So I would, if I wanted to say shit but didn't want to get in trouble for it, I would either say Shitan or Zhitnik.
Jesus Christ, you've always been a hockey nerd.
Sure
That's the
have been.
funniest thing I've ever
Sure
heard in my
have
life.
been.
That's good. But just looking at this 7-round mock, like if the Flyers, and again, like I have no idea who these 5th-round picks are. Go to The Athletic, read Corey Pronman. He'll tell you about these dudes. If they were to come away from the draft with these picks, how you feeling?
I think I wouldn't be like jumping for joy excited. I would say it's a solid haul.
You don't feel like last year?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, Hellenius is just not somebody that excites me. I think he's going to be a darn good NHL player, and probably on the whole, you're going to look back and say it was a good pick. He's just not a pick that makes me like super pumped. But looking at this draft, if they were to come away with 3 potential centers and 2 high upside blue liners, I would come away feeling like they had a pretty good haul, because centers, their biggest organizational weakness. Suddenly, they have a lot of depth, including one guy who has top 6 potential, and then 2 guys who have middle 6 potential in Erickson and O'Reilly. That would be interesting to me. And then you go with Hudson and Muse. You take 2 high upside defenseman swings. Yeah, I would feel like it's a pretty good draft. Not an amazing draft, but it's a solid BB plus draft.
I will take a BB plus. I mean, if this draft unfolds this way, where it's like, yeah, you didn't have a shot at Berkeley Catton, you know? Like, all right, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
I'm going to wish maybe they didn't win so many games in November, but that's what we're always going to feel in this rebuilding state that we're in, I guess. But I like I said, I've been talked into Consta Hellenius because I think
I don't hate
what
it.
everyone says about his IQ, I think might work well alongside the ridiculous skill of Matvei Michkov.
I would say these last 2 games aside, and even last game, I think he was fine. It was really just game 4 when everybody on Florida stunk. Like, I am envisioning Hellenius ultimately, and part of this is because they're countrymen, but I'm envisioning Hellenius ultimately becoming something like Anton Lundell. And he's been darn good for Florida in these playoffs. He's a darn good player.
Could use him.
He's just not a guy who I ever see becoming a 1C. He's just a darn good piece.
Okay.
And I am totally fine if they exit this draft with their top pick being a darn good second line piece. There are certainly a lot worse outcomes. I will not rip them if they pick Constellanius. I just personally would prefer someone who I think has a bit higher upside. But I like Hellenius as a prospect. I don't think it would be a bad pick.
It's a lot better than some Ron Hextall picks. That's what I would say.
Well, they're getting a comp pick for Jay O'Brien. So
hey, yeah, we didn't need that. 19 overall. 51's fine. Listen, Friday, Game 6. It's happening. And I just checked out the odds on the BetPark Sportsbook app right now. Listen, if you're thinking maybe like Charlie, you're like, oh, yeah, that was a nice little run for Edmonton. They didn't fully embarrass themselves, but Florida, still the better of the 2 teams. You can get on that BetPark Sportsbook app right now. You can get Florida even money, plus 100 on the money line for Friday's game on the road to lift that Stanley Cup. That over 5.5 at minus 110 also looking pretty good because
you're assuming a lot of goals are going to be scored.
What, is Bob going to all of a sudden start stopping the puck? I don't know, man. Stuart Skinner.
This goes back to my point about narratives. Like 5 days ago, we were talking about Sergei Bobrovsky making the Hall of Fame, and now we are saying, can he even stop a puck?
This is what happens.
This is playoff hockey.
This is what happens with goaltenders, though. They have a peak, and then there's a valley. I think the valley is coming. We saw it for Bob a year ago. He had a couple of days off before the final, and then Vegas just lit his ass up. Maybe that's what's starting to happen. It was just a little later in the series. I'm just saying, I think there's some bets on the BetPark Sportsbook app that you might be into. And we're brought to you by the BetPark Sportsbook app. You can get in the zone with BetPark Sportsbook because money is in the moments. What events are coming up? Could very well be the last hockey game of the season on Friday. So make sure if you want a little action, you get in with BetParks. And you can win big with all-day action. If you win your first $10 bet, you can earn $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. Download the app and play along with us. Must be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And before we go, just saw this recent update from our good friend and colleague, Anthony Gargano. Tune in to the Gargano Show tomorrow morning. Charlie Manuel is going to be in studio tomorrow morning.
Uncle Charlie, back together.
Make sure you tune in for that show. It's going to be a good one.
If you don't remember back in the day, those two would, they had a show. Charlie would come on Anthony's show, and it was always gold. There's a couple clips from it I still have in my phone like 12 years later. It's always really good stuff, and who doesn't love Charlie, and who doesn't love the Phils right now, back home winning. And just to update these Conn Smythe odds, Bob the other day was minus 180 favorite. He's plus 600 now. McDavid, minus 182, very much the favorite to walk away with this thing, despite his team trailing 3-2 still. All right, that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Mortgage CS. We love Mortgage CS. All right, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Make sure you're following us right here on YouTube. Set those reminders. Never miss a live show. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And the podcast, just search PHLY Flyers wherever you get those, and boom, you'll have us. All right, my name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Stay loose and sexy, Philly.
We all silly like the mayor.